again to the series of videos basically talking about how to build a very successful commercial cleaning business so you can make millions of dollars if you choose to make that. Now we're going to be talking today about the first leg of the stool. If you haven't watched the other videos, I suggest you go and watch them because you're going to get a little bit lost because there won't be any context to this. But today we're going to be talking about how to get this one element of your business right.
We're talking about winning cleaning contracts.
We are.
That's what we're talking about. How to get them done, man. How to get them to be not only engaging you when you get into the door. Imagine that. Being able to communicate with a customer where they not only engage you, but they actually are willing to and open to receive information from you. And then you're going to be able to convert a percentage of those predictably into new customers into your business. Awesome stuff.
All right, so we're going to rub out this, which we covered in our last video.
That's a stool, by the way. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch the previous video.
I thought that was obvious. That was a stool. Wasn't it obvious?
Three-legged octopus. Let's rock and roll.
All right, so what we want to talk about now is how to get cleaning contracts. Now, there's lots of ways to go about getting cleaning contracts, and you probably thought about Google AdWords, you probably thought about LinkedIn, you may have thought about telemarketing. There's all sorts of
get a
things.
website,
Advertising,
business,
website,
pamphlets.
SEO.
Yeah, you name it.
What we need to do though is we need to understand some fundamentals around client needs and client desire. The one thing that you've got against you when you haven't won a cleaning contract, but for you when you've won a cleaning contract, is what I call client inertia. And that is because cleaning is often not a high priority for most businesses. They don't want to get on with doing what their business is about. They don't want to be worrying about, who's vacuuming the floors at night and who's changing the bin liners, etc. And they feel that, look, if the current cleaner's not burning the place down, at least I can put that decision on the back burner. They may not be happy with their current cleaners, but there's just other things that come up in the day that takes priority. It makes sense, obviously. So we've got this, in a sense, a hierarchy of desire that we're looking at. Is that the best word to call it?
Sounds good to me.
Desire? That's a fancy way of saying it.
How many customers are at what stage of their decision-making process, if at all? That's what we're talking about here.
So when we have a look at this, let's say this is 100% of all your potential prospects out there. Only about 3% of them are actively looking. Now, when I was growing my business, one of the things that I found very challenging was how few people were looking on Google to change their cleaning service. Because I put a lot of money into Google and I wanted to make sure that my ad was always up there when people were looking to change their cleaners. What I found is that there was a few clicks, but certainly not as many as I expected. Now, there's a reason behind that, and that's the reason that we're going to I'm going to reveal to you shortly. But one of the things that you have to bear in mind is that people are approaching businesses every single day. So your prospective clients have been approached by other cleaning businesses, and if something about them stood out, they're going to be on the list of people to call. Okay, when they decide to change or look for a new cleaning supplier. But of course, there are people who are going to look on Google. So if you're doing SEO, you're doing Google AdWords or Bing or something like that, then there are people who are going to be going to those places to look at getting quotes. But we're only dealing with about 3% of the market share. And of that 3%, there's probably only about 1%, I'd say, who would even think about looking at Google, for instance.
So what we're saying here is, out of everybody that's a potential customer right now you could go and see, only 3% of them are actively looking and engaging a cleaning service provider. That leaves 97% doing something.
Yeah,
what are they doing?
Well, there's one thing that we do know that 70% are doing, and that is being dissatisfied. So we know that 70% of the market aren't 100% happy with the solution they've got or their current cleaning service provider. But as I said to you before, cleaning's not a high priority. It's on the back burner. It's a frustration, but it's not so bad that they're looking at doing anything about it. They just know that they've got to get round to it someday, is actually changing their cleaning. Or maybe they're just resigned to the fact that most cleaning companies just don't do a good job. All right, and if that's the case, then they're just thinking about price only. So we've got 67% then of people dissatisfied, including that 3%. We've got a 70% pool here. We're only dealing with 30% of people who are not going to change their cleaners. Now, that's either because they're not interested at all, they're not in the market, or alternatively, they love the current cleaning service provider that they have. And obviously, once you get their business, you want them to fall into that 30%, or that 20% of people, or 10% of people who love their cleaners and never think about changing. But then you've got this big pool of 67% of people who could change if they get an offer that's attractive and pulling. So
I know what these guys are thinking. They're going, I've run people before, I've called on people before, and like 90% of them, probably 99% of them tell me that they're happy. What's going on there?
well, just think about yourself. If you go into a shop and you start looking at clothes, what does the person say to you in the shop? What is it?
Yeah, I know. They walk up and they go, can I help you?
And you say, no, I'm just looking. All right. So there you got all these knee-jerk reactions, even if you are interested, especially if you're a bloke and you go into a clothes shop, more often than not, you're there to do business. You want to buy something. Most blokes don't go to clothes shop to browse, and yet your natural reaction is when you get asked that question, I'm just looking, you know? So you have to be prepared for that, and you have to understand that there's certain reactions that happen when you interact with someone who is actively looking, but maybe not 100%. Probably of all the people they ask, 3% of the people who walk through the door say, actually, I'm looking for size whatever of this pair of jeans, right? But we can't rely on that if we want to scale our business. So we need to be working on this. So what we've also got other people, we've got a process. So we've got these people here who are mildly interested or open. You probably can't read that, but that's mildly interested,
Mildly
right?
interested.
And these are the people who are interested, okay?
They are interested.
And then you need to push them up to actively looking or ready to change. So your job is, when you're doing sales and marketing, is to get their interest here, move them to being quite interested, to getting them right up to the 3% where they're actively making decisions to change their cleaning service provider.
So what you're really saying then is that if I was to go and engage 10 potential customers right now and I didn't know what I was doing, I'd kind of think maybe 9 of them would tell me to go away. But what we're saying here is that 7 out of 10 of them could actually be open to doing some business.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So how are we going to do that in the next video? We're going to show these guys how to get
I
these
think so.
7 people to want to do business with us?
I think so. Now, one thing you know about, I just want to throw this out there, right? If you are prepared to do the hard work, so you're prepared to just, wear out your shoe leather or pick up the phone and make phone calls, you can be confident that if you call 100 people, 3 people will say, actually, we're looking for a new cleaner.
That's about what happens when people are telemarketing anyway.
Yeah,
Whether you know that
right.
or not, if you're
Yeah.
getting out there telemarketing, you're hitting the phones, it's about 100 people to get 3 people.
So just knowing that should give you hope. If you're desperate, if you watch all these videos and you're thinking, oh, I like what these guys say, but I'm just gonna I'm just gonna slog it out. I'm just gonna do the hard work, do the hard yards. I don't want to pay a dime. I don't want the fast way. I just want the hard way. I just given it to you. Make 100 calls. Knock on 100 doors. You'll get 3 people that are interested. Even the worst case scenario is that you're just competing on price. Likely that one of 3 of those people are going to say yes to you. So you got 100 doors. You're going to get 1 client.
It's a lot of no's.
It's a lot of no's. It's going to grind you, but hey, you got to start somewhere. So there is hope, and that's one thing I want to sort of share with you is that yeah, there's ways to do it far more efficiently. There's ways to do it effectively. You can get conversion rates of up to 20% or more just from cold contacts. I won't call them cold calls. They start as cold contacts. You can get that sort of conversion rate, but if you're just willing to grind it out, you just want to work hard, hey, 1 in 100, you can get it. So hard work does pay off. It's just inefficient until you know the right ways of doing things. But in the next video, we're going to talk about the right ways of doing things, the efficient ways of doing things.
How to get the best chance of having a customer wanting to interact with you, take some information from you, receive communications from you, and eventually do business with you. That's what we're going to talk about next. So subscribe. If you're going to go away and come back again, we want to be notified, of course, when these videos come out. So hit that subscribe button. We'll get straight into the next video.
See you in the next video.